I love pancakes, and not just the ones that you eat, but the ones where you sit on the floor with your legs in a straddle and fold like a pancake. And today I'm going to tell you exactly why you are probably not seeing any progress in yours and how to fix it. So the main thing that stops a lot of people being able to reach their full potential when it comes to the pancake is they don't have the ability to rotate at their hips, to take their hips from a posterior pelvic tilt to an anterior pelvic tilt. And if you're trying to train for your pancake but you don't have any understanding of actually how to maneuver kind of the hip into that position, we're going to be kind of fighting a bit of a losing battle, and you may find yourself kind of sitting in that straddle like reaching forwards for the life of you and just absolutely nothing is happening. Tip number one is we need to nail our standing pancake, and I would say this is a complete prerequisite for anyone that wants to start learning the pancake or just have general better hip and hamstring flexibility. You are going to stand in a straddle position, legs apart, trying to replicate the similar angle that your legs would be on the floor, and you're going to kind of arch your lower back. Now, arching the back is kind of the easiest cue we can give to kind of simulate this anterior pelvic positioning. Now, from this point, you're going to start pushing your hips backwards and at the same time dropping your chest. Now, if you're quite tight, this is going to give you quite a deep stretch through the hamstrings. And at the point where the hamstrings can't kind of move anymore, they can't go any further backwards, your spine will then start to round. So what we want to try and do is get to the point where we can start standing and hinge all the way to a 90-degree position with a completely flat back. Once we can get there, that is basically, if we flip it, a seated pancake on the floor. So once we can comfortably get to 90 degrees, nice flat back, hips nice and pushed back, we know that we're kind of going to be at least comfortably sitting on the floor nice and upright rather than all hunched over, and we can kind of start taking progressions forwards to start now dropping the chest. Now, a great exercise once we've mastered that standing pancake is to go onto a seated but elevated variation of the exercise. So a seated good morning, usually a bent leg variation first, is going to be really helpful to kind of move that hinging position with that anterior pelvic tilt from standing to seated. Obviously, you've had the option to push the hips back, and now we're trying to replicate that just by using our hips on the floor. The best thing to do is sit yourself on a box, on a bench, and start trying to hinge, keeping that back straight, get your chest to a target like a bench, and focus on maintaining that anterior pelvic tilt. Once you get comfortable doing that with bent legs, the goal is to keep the hips at the same height but gradually to start extending the legs, because like we said, the hips is only one portion of the pancake. We also need to work on the hamstrings as well, and if we only do bent leg variations, when we come to straightening our legs, we're going to have a real shock to the system. Our hips may be a little bit stubborn, so if it's taking us a little while to get to grips with the bent leg good morning, alongside those to work on our hamstrings, we can do straddle Jefferson curls. Now, this is a great exercise for our hamstrings and is also going to kind of replicate that pancake position on the floor. So rolling from your chin, shoulders all the way down towards the floor. Spend a little bit of time in that bottom position, really relaxing through the shoulders and then rolling yourself back up. So we're kind of targeting the hips and we're targeting the hamstrings. You may need both of those exercises to start, and then once your seat good morning gets a little bit more comfortable, we can just move on to one. Now, these exercises are doing a really great job at kind of conditioning and preparing the hips and hamstrings for what is needed for them for the pancake. But there's one other element that is crucial in bringing this flat to the floor pancake together, and that is your ability of your spine to actually straighten out and lengthen. What we can find is we need to combine that rotation at the hips with the ability to reach really far with our kind of upper back to flatten out the pancake. And it sounds so simple, but lots and lots of people actually don't do this step. So in comes some of my favorite magic drills for the pancake, and those are my round to arch slides and my task-based reaches. The key here is how you execute these exercises, especially the round to arch pancake slides, because we are taking you from a really rounded position. You're pushing the target out as far as you possibly can go, and then only when you get to the very bottom position, when you feel like you can push out no more, are you going to arch through the pelvis and start to bring back in. But the key here, and this is the game-changing thing, when you go to arch, rather than just rolling straight back in, I want you to try and push the object a little bit further away from you. That's really going to challenge your hips, it's really going to challenge your reach, and you will visibly see a difference in how the pancake looks, because you're physically making the body reach out and forwards. Task-based reach, very, very similar, but this is more for that upper back. So you're really going to tense your quads. You're going to reach forwards, not allowing yourself to touch the floor. Go as low as you can, and you want to make sure that that target is this much within your reach. You should just about to be able to get it, but every time you go into the rep, you should be having to fight for it. And it's a really great way because you can use the distance to track your progress. Final tip is that you want to make sure you're doing all of those exercises in combination with static passive stretching for your pancake. You can do this in a standing variation and in a seated variation, but my top tip is to always have something to reach towards and to touch. You're always going to have support for the forehead, for the chest, for the belly, where if you can't quite get something to touch the floor, you're going to have something to reach towards and rest on. So in your mind, you know, okay, I'm going to relax onto this target, and each week you come to train, explore a different target. Maybe it's going to be nose, maybe it's going to be forehead, whatever you can get your body to touch, and that's what I want you to relax onto. Treat it how you would do for any other stretch. So starting maybe with a couple sets of 30 seconds and gradually start increasing the time until you can build that up to 1 to 2 minutes. If you are looking for some more guidance around how to actually get your pancake, I have 2 options for you. I have the pancake series on the app, which is an 8-week block of follow along classes to help you get your first pancake, or you can do the leg sessions from the beginner calisthenics program on the app, which is all about developing the strength to help you get your pancake. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful, and I'll see you in the next vid.